Spider-Man: Birth of Venom is a graphic novel that is pretty much the origin of Venom. And I don't just mean the character Venom or Eddie Brock becoming this character. I'm talking about the whole story beginning with Spider-Man getting the black symbiote suit and everything that goes into that. It started in 1985 and it continued into the 90s. Like, this is one of the most important Spider-Man stories in comic book history to me. Not only because of how much I love it, how good I think it is, but the character Venom is so important to me because growing up in the 90s, Venom was everywhere. You couldn't escape it. And being a kid, being easily influenced, I just was fascinated by this character. This story begins with, it actually continues from an arc called The Secret Wars, where Spider-Man, the X-Men, and the Avengers, they were all trapped on this planet. At the beginning of this, they come out, they escape. Spider-Man, he didn't realize that there was a machine that was supposed to help the heroes get different costumes and help them with their abilities. So when Spider-Man used it, he got into contact with the symbiote. And at the time, he didn't know that's what it was. So he saw that it was this black suit. He thought it was cool. And he kind of just went with it. You don't blame him because it made his powers, his webbing, and it made everything easier. So he kept it for a while. I like that at the beginning of this, he's dating Black Cat, Felicia Hardy. I find that interesting. This is obviously after Gwen Stacy. And things are iffy with him and Mary Jane. But he's found something with Black Cat, and to him, it's real. But Black Cat, I find it really interesting that she does not like Peter Parker at all. It's not like she hates him, but she's almost disgusted by him. Like, whenever they're in his apartment and he's not wearing the Spider-Man costume, she can't even look at him. But when he's Spider-Man and when they're both out fighting crime, saving the city, she's more than in love. And that sucks in one sense, but that's her. She can't help how she feels. I really enjoyed the moment when Mary Jane just goes up to him and reveals that she knows he's Spider-Man. And I love that because Peter has tried everything to keep this a secret from her, but she's so much smarter than that. Mary Jane might come off as an airhead because she's a model, she's hot, but she's smarter than that. When she opens up to him and tells him everything about her past, her father, how abusive he got. All of that was fascinating. All of that made me love and appreciate Mary Jane as a character so much more. And if that wasn't worse, you have Aunt May, who's pissed at Peter because he just quit college. Because there's too much going on. And when he tells Aunt May that, she freaks out. She's mad. She's mad because she feels like he's throwing away his life. And you understand her point of view, but it just sucks because she won't talk to him. Now, throughout all of this, you do see Spider-Man fighting villains. Some of them are lame. I will admit that. There's some of Spider-Man's lesser villains. I'm talking about villains like Jack-O-Lantern. Yeah, it's basically a guy who... It's almost like a ripoff of the Goblin, but he's literally wearing a pumpkin face. You're like, really? Really? Also, Puma, who this was his introduction, and I'm not going to say there wasn't any interesting things to the character. He was basically a guy who could transform himself into an animal hybrid hunter, hired assassin. And again, a little interesting, but still, I mean, I can appreciate the fact that he wasn't just a mindless animal beast. He was smart and all of that. But again, a little lame. There was this guy called Rose. He was like a crime boss. He worked underneath Kingpin. This guy wanted Spider-Man dead. and he was willing to do anything to make that happen. But ultimately, he ends up being the Kingpin's bitch. Now again, I feel like these lesser villains could probably work really well if Marvel was lucky enough to buy the rights to Spider-Man back and create like a TV show. A lot of these feel like TV episode villains, and I think they would work well in that environment. Peter goes to the Fantastic Four, Reed Richards specifically, and Reed figures out that this thing, this suit, is an alien, is living off of him, and that just freaks Peter out. He's like, get it off of me. They do that, they contain it, but of course it breaks out. And it finds its way back to Peter. It tricks him into hosting onto him again. Peter then figures out how to get the suit off of him. He goes to a church tower, and the bells, the loud ringing, the noises, forces the symbiote off of him. And it attaches itself to Eddie Brock. And Eddie Brock was a reporter for the Daily Globe, and he wrote this story about this serial killer called Sin Eater. And it was this massive story about how like Brock got all this information about how the guy killed people, his motives and all this stuff, but when he revealed who the person was, that's when Brock hit it big. Spider-Man, though, proved that the story was wrong and that the real serial killer was out there. So this ruined Brock's career. His reporting career was over. And he was going to kill himself until he bonded with the symbiote. And that's so interesting. That you have a symbiote who hates Spider-Man for deserting it, for just pushing it aside, feeling almost like a jilted lover, right? And then you have Eddie Brock, who also hates Spider-Man for different reasons, but the two hatreds come together and become an even greater hatred. And when you see Eddie Brock as Venom for the first time, it's pretty creepy. Like, he shows up in their apartment and he scares the living hell out of Mary Jane. Like, if you see the horrified look in her face, it's scary. And Brock, he's a big guy, so it looks like he's all force and nothing behind the ears, but no, this guy is cunning. He's intelligent. He's smart. The way he's planning his attack on Peter, he's methodical. And Spider-Man, he keeps forgetting that the symbiote doesn't attract his spider senses, so he'll never know when Venom's coming. Not only that, he knows everything about him. There's even a scene where he shows up to Aunt May's house. And he's being creepy because he's helping Aunt May and he's acting like a nice guy, but when Peter shows up, he freaks out because he knows this guy is dangerous. And I'm not going to reveal how this ends, the final battle, but you guys, if you guys haven't read Birth of Venom, it's amazing. It's awesome. It's definitely, if not my favorite, it's up there. My second or third favorite Spider-Man story arc of all time. I love Venom. I love everything about the character, just how evil he is. Of course, you love seeing Spider-Man just get the worst luck ever, just everything bad happening to him between Mary Jane. Like, they finally do start dating after the whole Black Cat relationship falls, but they get married, they get an apartment together, but they lose the apartment because of Mary Jane's money being tied up in legal issues, because she had a stalker and all this crazy stuff. Just basically, he has the worst luck ever. And God bless Mary Jane for still being there for the guy. She doesn't give him shit at all. She understands his life isn't easy. She doesn't give him shit for not having everything together like he should. She just loves him for him. And she's willing to pick up the slack with her modeling. She's willing to do whatever it takes to be with the guy. And even when he's so upset about just everything, she will literally just undress in front of him and say, "Hey, Tiger, let's go." that's like the perfect woman, and that's what I love about Mary Jane. Anyways, guys, again, let me know if you're interested, or if you have read this, what do you think of Birth of Venom? Thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe. Later!